first of all, congratulations. 10 years is always a big milestone. I think when AWPR was set up, it had a clear mission to promote peace, conflict resolution, and peace building in the region. And this is not, while we have a peaceful and stable region, it has its fair share of intranational residual differences, legacy contestations. So I think that AWPR was given a big job to do, and on top of the big job, setting up a new institute will require time. So I think that in 10 years, AWPR has done remarkably well in both the institutional as well as the substantive regions. And I think that critically, AWPR is socializing the concept of peace, conflict prevention and conflict resolution amongst all 10 ASEAN member states. That will take time. I think it has to slowly seep into the consciousness of our nationals. And I think AWPR has done a commendable job trying to push the message of peace out at all ages and at all levels. So I guess the best manifestation of this would be the capacity building programs that AWPR is very active in. You're not only building awareness, you're also engaging our partners in undertaking these capacity building programs. So I think that's really commendable. And I think that the establishment of the ASEAN Women Peace Registry was a good, sent a very good signal to the region that women have a role to play in building and maintaining peace. I think that AWPR would do well to position itself strategically. There are many ongoing conversations in the region on peace and the role of women and youth. And rather than reinvent the wheel, maybe it's good for AWPR to start to partner with, to join ongoing conversations, and then see how you can utilize your unique position to amp up the ongoing efforts, and then see how you can play a part in bringing in more youth and women participation. I think you should also leverage on existing ASEAN platforms and mechanisms. For example, we have the ASEAN Foundation. They run a lot of courses for youth in various areas of expertise. So how about the role of youth and the role of women in peace building? Why don't you try sit down with the foundation and think through, okay, what can we do together? Yeah, I think that you can use the foundation's networks, and they have alumni, and the foundation can leverage on AWPR's expertise, domain expertise in peace building, conflict resolution. Yeah, I think that's one way. Yeah. I think first and foremost is the content of that AWPR will be associated with. What are the products that AWPR puts out, and what's the value of these products? I think that's the first and foremost question. If you develop a solid body of research, for example, the paper series, or then you have something which you can push out, to tell people that this is what AWPR does, and this is how AWPR tries to help the agenda for peace in ASEAN. Once you have the content, then the next thing is how do you build awareness of AWPR? And I think that in that regard, AWPR has done a fantastic job the last 3 years, really working on developing the brand and getting it out there, getting people to interact with AIPR. Yeah, so kudos to the AIPR Secretariat. They've done a wonderful job. And when you have your name out there, people know about you, and people start to read, use your content, cite your content, then that brings in the third aspect, which is the participation. We have 650 million people. I think more than half of this population is online. So the digital route is the way to I think, expand AIPR's reach, and also build AIPR's relevance to ASEAN. Well, I don't want to age myself prematurely, but yeah, I've been part of the Governing Council for 4 years. It's been a real fun ride. Learned a lot as a Governing Council member. I would put two happy memories of being a GC member. First is seeing the changeover of executive directors, the handing over of the baton. And as in every good race, the new lab is running faster and going further, building on what was achieved under the previous executive director. So it's been really good as a GC member to see the continued progress that AIPR makes. And I think second, I really enjoy supporting the projects that AIPR runs. I had a lot of fun with the webinar last year or year before. I mean, it was a webinar, first time moderating on screen, but it was a lot of fun. And I learned a lot on the subject matter at hand. And I was moderating on humanitarian assistance. And the speaker was someone whom I'd never meet unless I was in that AIPR event. And he was a really engaging speaker. And he described the difficulties, the real difficulties that humanitarian assistance workers do. So you got to respect that field and the people who choose to stay in that field. Yeah. And it's very pertinent today because we have our own AHA Center, and poor AHA Center is doing its best to help Myanmar. It's a tough job, but I have tremendous respect for these people. So yeah, these are the two of my personal highlights on the GC. Well, ASEAN has a lot of institutes, centers. We have, and these are hosted in various capitals of ASEAN. I think collectively they form a very strong Track 1.5 ecosystem. AIPR in the future I see as a thriving research hub. I think that's the critical one that is very well connected with counterparts in ASEAN as well as overseas with our partners. And hopefully AIPR would be in a position to have a archive, one that our ASEAN people know about and refer to often, and one that is also cited by international organizations and institutes of higher learning, because there is a need to have an ASEAN body that promotes peace, promotes conflict resolution and peace building, and does so armed with carefully derived lessons from the experiences that our own region has gone through and successfully prevailed over.